Let us begin with what is happening on the ground. In recent days, Russian forces have taken control of Siminovka, a small settlement in the Kharkiv region, close to the border. Not a major city, not a fortress, not a transportation hub. But the significance is not in the size. It is in what this capture reveals. This matters. Symynovka sits in northern Kharkiv Oblast, an area that has seen consistent pressure for months now. The same region appearing in reports, week after week. When the same sector keeps appearing, it is not coincidence. It indicates focused effort, sustained pressure, strategic intent. Russia is not attempting to advance everywhere in Kharkiv. They are choosing specific areas that can be pressured continuously, areas where logistics are reachable, where defenses can be gradually worn down. On the map, these advances look modest, sometimes a village, sometimes just a tree line, sometimes a few positions. But one fact stands out. Territory taken is rarely taken back. This is not about distance, it is about direction. And the direction has been consistent. Russia is not advancing through surprise attacks. They are advancing through repetition. The same method, the same sectors, day after day. First comes surveillance, drones over Ukrainian positions. Then comes artillery, not to destroy everything at once, but to make the position unsustainable. Ukrainian forces face a choice: hold and accept mounting losses, or withdraw to preserve strength. Most often, they choose withdrawal. This is not panic. This is not collapse. It is rational decision-making in a war where manpower cannot be easily replaced. But every withdrawal has consequences. Each time Ukraine pulls back, Russia does not rush forward recklessly. They pause, secure the area, dig in, and integrate that territory into their defensive system. This changes the status of the area, from contested zone to controlled zone. This explains why Russian advances appear slow, and also why they are stable. The fall of Symynovka is not an isolated event. It is part of a larger framework, what Russia calls the buffer zone operation. The term itself is deliberate. It frames the objective not as conquest, but as security necessity. Whether one accepts this framing or not, the military reality is clear. Russia is systematically expanding controlled territory along the Kharkiv border. A buffer zone serves specific purposes. It pushes Ukrainian artillery out of range of Russian border areas. It creates space for logistics, for assembly points, for defense in depth. It eliminates direct observation of Russian movements. Most importantly, it shifts the baseline for any future settlement. Territory held becomes territory negotiable. This is why consolidation matters as much as capture. Russia is not just taking villages. They are preparing to hold them long-term. Reports indicate civilian evacuations from areas under Russian control. These evacuations do not happen on active front lines. They occur in areas that have become relatively stable. From a military perspective, this is significant. Evacuations take place when counterfire risk has decreased, when logistics routes are secure, when the area is fully covered by one's own fire control. Territory without civilians offers clear advantages: greater freedom of movement, simpler logistics, more straightforward defense. It also reduces intelligence leakage and rear area complications. Compare this with earlier phases of the war. At that time, Russia moved quickly, but territory was not always consolidated. Now, the approach is different. Slow, systematic, administrative. This signals intent to hold for the long term. The question observers ask is simple: can Ukraine retake these areas? The answer is complex. Launching a counteroffensive requires overcoming multiple challenges: extensive minefields, constant drone surveillance, artillery supremacy. Ukraine would need to concentrate forces, accept casualties, achieve breakthrough quickly. At present, Ukraine's priority is different: holding main defensive lines, preserving combat power, avoiding catastrophic losses. This is a strategic choice, but choices have consequences. The consequence is clear. Initiative remains with Russia. Russia selects where to pressure, when to pressure, how much to pressure. Ukraine responds, adjusts, withdraws when necessary. This dynamic favors the side applying pressure. And in Kharkiv, that side is Russia. Some will point to Ukrainian strikes deep inside Russia, to drone attacks on military facilities, to partisan activity. These actions have value. They impose costs. They disrupt logistics. But they do not change the fundamental dynamic on the contact line. Territorial control is established by sustained presence, by artillery coverage, by boots on the ground. And in the Kharkiv direction, Russia currently holds these advantages. What comes next in Kharkiv? If current patterns hold, we can expect continuation, not escalation. More pressure on Ukrainian positions within the buffer zone areas. More consolidation of captured territory. More integration into Russian fire control systems. The pace will remain gradual. The methods will remain consistent. Russia has shown it prefers stability over speed in this phase. This approach has worked. There is little reason to expect dramatic change. For Ukrainian forces, the challenge is equally clear. They must defend a long front line with limited reserves against an opponent that can choose when and where to apply pressure. This is a difficult position, but not an impossible one. Ukraine has demonstrated ability to conduct orderly withdrawals, to inflict casualties during Russian advances, to maintain cohesion under pressure. The question is not whether Ukraine can defend indefinitely. The question is whether the cost remains sustainable over time. Let us be precise about what we are observing. Russia is not achieving rapid breakthroughs in Kharkiv. Ukraine is not on the verge of collapse in this sector. What we see is incremental territorial change, consistent directional pressure, systematic consolidation. In a long war, these factors accumulate. Small gains compound. Buffer zones expand. Negotiating positions harden. This is not dramatic, but it is significant. The fall of Symynovka will not change the war overnight. No single village does. But it represents continuation of a pattern that has been consistent for months. Russia applying pressure where it can sustain operations. Ukraine making rational decisions about where to hold and where to withdraw. And the buffer zone in Kharkiv growing steadily deeper. This war is not moving toward rapid conclusion. Neither side is achieving decisive victory. Neither side is facing imminent defeat. What we observe is grinding attrition, territorial adjustment, strategic positioning. Russia seeks to maximize control before any negotiated settlement. Ukraine seeks to minimize losses while maintaining cohesion. Two strategies, two timelines, one protracted conflict. This analysis does not celebrate war. It does not dismiss suffering. Siminovka had residents. They have been displaced. Some settlements in this buffer zone have been damaged or destroyed. Behind every tactical assessment lies human cost. But understanding the military logic is essential, because the trajectory of this war will not be determined by narratives. It will be determined by force ratios, by sustainability, by strategic patience. And at present, in the Kharkiv direction, Russia holds the initiative. As observers, as analysts, as thinking individuals. We must resist viewing war through emotion alone. To understand what is happening requires looking at patterns, at logistics, at sustainability, at consequences. The fall of Symynovka matters not because it is dramatic, it matters because it is consistent. And in a war of attrition, consistency often determines outcomes more than brilliance. What comes next? More of the same, unless something fundamental changes. The buffer zone will continue to expand. Ukrainian positions will continue to adjust backward, and the distance from border to defensive lines will continue to grow. This is not the end of the war. It is the continuation of a specific phase, a phase where patience matters more than speed, where consolidation matters more than breakthrough, and where every village like Siminovka becomes another data point in a larger pattern. Think clearly. Look at the evidence. Understand the direction. Because in modern warfare, slow and steady often proves more decisive than fast and reckless. This is the reality in Kharkiv, and this reality is unlikely to change soon.